to try and win 2v2 as often as possible. But if there is a pick you can kind of sacrifice, it would be the Zyra for like a Lee Sin ban, as an example. But they're still going with it. They're sticking to the first ban we saw last time, which is Zyra. Then, as Trevor highlighted, Fizz, Caitlyn coming in after.
All right, see if there's any pivots from Team WE when they were on red side in game 2.
There it is. Olaf already off the table.
Iron Lulu, I mean, Trick, we've seen he kind of only shows up when singular champions here at MSI. He had a pretty good game on Graves last week, a decent game previously, but it simply wasn't enough.
And I mean, one question here is, does he actually go back to the Nunu, right? Like, do you go for the Graves, or do you try to put yourself in the position where, hey, maybe if we got to that full Caitlyn build, you have the Blood Blue, you have that Nunu, maybe you can actually make something happen.
I mean, he probably wants a first pick Iron in a game like this, and if WE leaves it open to maybe trade it for Lee Sin, that is definitely a possibility. But banning Ivan also is just a safe choice. We talked about, you know, Olaf, Kennen, and Ivan getting removed. I like the fact they actually leave the last choice to be between like Ivan and Lulu, possibly to see if G2 bans like the Karma right now, so they don't get that free Lulu pick and you don't get anything in return.
You have to feel the Karma pick for Team WE is a little bit more pivotal as a possibility. G2 actually picked Karma first when they were blue side earlier. Shia, definitely very good on that champion.
Yeah, and this is pretty interesting. I mean, it's very likely it's just going to be the, okay, so it is going to be just the Karma.
Yeah.
You know, WWE could have actually left up Lulu and Karma and taken a trade. They could have taken, you know, a Lulu Lee Sin or something like that on their first round. So I am a little bit surprised that they did end up banning out that Lulu.
I think they just feel like Lulu is just better than Karma. So like, you know what, we'll give you one, because we want to get the Ashe most likely for Mystic, as we've seen so often, and the Lee Sin. Unless they want to run again with this, you know, more late game scaling AD carry we saw before. But Lee Sin should be the lock-in for WE, because it was such a good performance from Condi. And yes, you give over Graves to Trick, but I think after the last game, they're probably okay with that.
Does Trick pivot? Does he pivot? Does he go to the Nunu?
My guess is this game he does not. I think if you lose again in Graves versus Lee Sin, then I'm expecting him to maybe try to make something happen, because the start was good for G2. The composition was good for G2, but it did fall apart due to play. And one guy that really underperformed in comparison to the first 2 games wasn't just Trick, it was Perkz. I mean, if Perkz is having
100%.
the kind of game that he had in game 1 and game 2, I think that's a pretty easy game 3 sweep. And, you know, Perkz is someone that you can count on to make something happen.
Even if I think Ashe is the better AD carry here, I think this actually makes sense for Mystic. It is the comfort pick for him. It's something WE plays around extremely well, despite not drafting like protect the AD carry comps. And if you feel like G2 will take the game late anyway, you will get to like a 3-item spike where Mystic suddenly can carry the game. So they're really aiming for comfort on the side of WE.
Similar could be said for G2. Syndra locked in fairly early, blind. We know it's a safe pick. AD carry has to be the likely option, or you could just see it banned away in this phase 2.
Now, this is actually the first time that G2 this whole series has first round selected a mid laner, so definitely some confidence there. But Xie could lock in the Fizz right now. He could go Fizz or Echo into it, and I think that's what's going to happen here. So we're going to have to see how Trick can actually perform in this matchup.
Yeah, it's always so tricky when you play against Fizz in the mid lane, because early on you feel super powerful as a Syndra, you're kind of pushing him in, you're winning the lane, but then level 6 is where you're constantly afraid of the ulti, because then a jungler will follow up and you get CC'd and you just die. So you play constantly under pressure, especially as G2, because they are so bad at warding around mid lane.
Yeah, and you need to kind of have the help of your jungler to alleviate a lot of that pressure. I mean, we actually saw TSM versus SKT, the same matchup for Bjergsen versus Faker. So Svenskeren actually was in the back pocket of Bjergsen for so much of the early game to stop that all-in potential, but Trick is going to have to be able to do something about that.
And we can really see a shift for G2 after Perkz had that bad performance on Ahri, because they have not been early picking mid laners before. Both teams have been okay with just leaving mid laners for the second phase, because so many were available anyway, but now saying we need this Syndra because we don't want to risk it getting banned away, and then Perkz gets put on a second tier pick, leaves himself open to these counter picks.
Yeah, and that's really the concerning part. I mean, it's what do you prioritize? You prioritize matchup advantage or comfort on a champion, right? And in this case, G2 is certainly prioritizing comfort. They're saying that Perkz is good enough that he can play around that he can avoid this. And you know, we do have to take into consideration it's still theoretically possible this could go top lane. They could do something else. Sure. Very unlikely, but it is possible.
Right, remove the Rumble right now. So Team WE did not want G2 to pick Rumble and kind of force the Fizz to then go top lane against it. And then suddenly G2 would actually, you know, get a good matchup somewhere at least with Fizz already being logged in. I like the Nami ban as well. Zero was fantastic on it, and it's a good pick against Karma.
Is this where Team WE and 957 maybe wants to run the Galio with the Fizz and Lee Sin? You've got delivery, that is fantastic. You're eliminating some of these carry top laners that could give it a tough time.
I think it would be a good option. I think especially, you know, adding a beefy frontliner in front of your Kog'Maw, that's always going to be nice, and you have multiple delivery systems, as you pointed out, and I think it's definitely solid.
Sure. I mean, you want your support now because you want to save last pick for that solo lane. Kled is available, and it's been such a good pick for 957, especially as a last pick where you know, okay, what you're up against.
The other thing that's nice about Kled in this sort of composition is that you are setting yourself up for a 1-3-1. With the Fizz and that Kled, you can get advantage in side lanes, and Syndra is not someone you want matching a side lane against a Fizz in the later stages of the game, so they will have to be very careful about that.
Now this at least is a positive now for G2 because the bot lane is normally these mega skill matchups that can really go back and forth between Team WE and G2. With the Tamkins logged in, G2 should feel very safe in the 2v2. They have a good early pushing mid lane as well in Syndra, so they have some very strong early lanes. And again, WE like to draft these winning lanes and then play super aggressive towards invades with Condi. Can't really do that with this draft.
Now, I'm a bit interested here if we're going to see an Elise or some sort of delivery system, like the Kazakhs even, because if you do draft Graves here, you have no real way in, and that leaves Kog'Maw in the backline without real diving threat. That can be something that is very concerning. I think that the Kazakhs makes quite some sense here. You dive back on the Kog'Maw, same sort of compositional idea that we have seen a couple times now.
I just don't think they have enough damage to kill Mystic right now with the Tamkins next to him as well. That will make it very difficult for G2 Esports once we go far into the late game. A ton of scaling on the side of Team WE, but very good early to mid game for G2 Esports, and it's going to be a test for them now to see if they can get the same early advantage we've seen a few games now and then not actually start losing out in these skirmishes. They have to keep that advantage and not go full late game against Team WE.
Team WE, they have the momentum on their side after winning the previous game, especially with Sheer, 957, and Condi really stepping up. And this Kled Fizz combination looks terrifying if it gets ahead. Tricker's only played Kazakhs once this tournament, has played it 6 times this year. And now we can see how much he has practiced from last week to this week. The Olaf, clear. Kazakhs, TBD.
Yeah, and they did pivot away from the Graves, right? They did back off that despite it being one of his most powerful picks. They did not have the confidence to go into it, and I think part of it is a compositional choice. But you have to wonder, I mean, most of the junglers who were playing Kazakhs a lot was at the start of the year when this was an exceptionally strong pick.
Yeah, now people only really played when you're against split pushing comps, because again, they're very split up, and you can get the isolation damage, you can get these 1v1s into quick front way 2s where you can get a quick kill. That's why he's picking Kazakhs here, but it's not been a dominating pick for him. Even when it actually were used back in Europe, it's not really one where we normally say, ooh, this is a pick and trick where he would go 10-0.
No, definitely not. But the Graves was, and we didn't see that happen in the previous game. I haven't seen that much this tournament. You see the team compositions on your screen. G2 Esports are 1 win away from redeeming themselves on the international stage, advancing to the MSI Finals. All that stands in their way is this terrifying Team WE comp. G2 do not go late against Kled, Fizz, and Kog'Maw.
And while G2 is certainly going to have their chances, you know, we saw WE just straight up outplay, even though they were perhaps outdrafted last game. This time around, I think that WE, for the first time in the series, has the composition that I prefer. I think that they have a very strong draft. They have a lot of ways to win, you know, through split pushing, through picks, through team fighting with the Kog'Maw late game, and it's G2 that is going to have a lot of pressure on them.
Much like the comp in the last game, though, if WE starts falling behind, like there are very few backup plans. Your wave play is not great. Your ways of starting fights is by you actually winning the split push war and then kind of roaming in towards where G2 is on the map. And setting up split push when you're behind is just so difficult because you often push really far back on the map.
Fortunately for WE, setting up that split push will be 957 with Kled riding Skarl. 3 wins, 0 losses. That phenomenal survival play in the group stage, which had us all blown away.
I mean, I did actually not expect to see this pick. I thought it was going to be banned in every single second phase by G2, but they removed the Shen instead of the Kled after that last game.
And I think it's perhaps just the worry of the Shen plus Lee Sin, how powerful it was with Condi. And also you add in the Fizz on top of that now. And Fizz plus the Shen is such a strong dive into these low mobility carries like Sven, like Perks.
And that's the tricky part for G2, because they had 3 picks they really wanted to ban. Nami, and of course the Shen, and then the Kled. You can only pick 2 of them. Let's see if Kled will take over the game.
And you talked about the importance of the early game here of getting ahead because of the low wave clear. I think a lot of the pressure in this game is actually on G2's bot lane to get that done because they have this range support advantage. The Karma into the Tahm Kench, you know, Kog'Maw, which is much more of a scaling champion. You need to be able to get the edges there and really step up for your team.
Yeah, just honestly the bottom side, because Perks as well should have the pressure mid early. It's up to then Trick and Perks who go down to this bottom lane, tag team, take down that bot lane from WE.
Thanks to that strength difference in terms of the tag team. You see the map has been split. Trick securing G2's blue buff, rather the other way around. WE's blue buff. Condi securing the blue buff on the side of Trick. Winds of War is going to pop Skull early, but you're waiting for 957 to scale up a little bit before he can deal with Galio.
Exactly. Don't expect too many things early game from Kled. Like, tanks are really solid against him because they can just kind of go even in lane. And Kled wants 2 items before he really takes over the side lane. That's where you should have forced plays as the G2 lineup elsewhere on the map.
I will say, though, this game, in my opinion, is going to be more about 957 perhaps pushing out in his opponent and then roaming rather than just taking down his opponent, because I don't think that you should be able to have that 1v1 kill pressure on the Galio unless he really does something wrong or gets massively behind.
Thanks to that ultimate charge in Condi and Lee Sin, a lot of opportunities available. Look at your mini-map. You can see G2 on their stronger lanes. Perks shoving in Xia. Going to deny him at least a few CS, Sven and Miffy. They're pushing up. And Mystic and Zero are going to have to be fending for themselves under the tower.
It's always very nice as a jungler if you can split the map when it's your laners getting pushed in, because you're always afraid you get invaded and you get denied, you know, buffs and early camps. But Condi could just take top side and Trick just took bottom side, and that's really good for Condi right now.
This is actually pretty interesting here for Trick because he's done this super delayed red. I'm not sure that he will go for it, but he has set himself up with the bot lane bouncing and pushing towards him to perhaps look for some sort of a bot lane gank. He may want to base early, but he's pretty low on health.
Go low to these Krugs. Full clear here.
Oh, to take forever to kill his Kazakh. Yeah. Like, oh my god, I'm here again.
Definitely power farming though. Is matched by Condi. Has been equalized. Condi's actually up on the Krugs, up in the top lane, so no jungler finding an opportunity yet. But we're still very early into the game, and 957 with that first TP back to lane. Picks up his second door and played a control ward. Obviously that refillable potion.
Not always expecting a lot of action in the first 4-5 minutes. Perfectly fine for WE to just kind of sit and try and match farm more than anything, but you can already see they're a bit behind in mid. They're going to be even further behind in bot lane, and once again, as we keep talking about, it's on G2 to force the plays. And when you have this advantage in push, you should always have advantage in the river in terms of your wards as well. You don't want to see them slack on those control wards like last.
TV's just going to be a match. I mean, Expect now has this triple Doran, so he did get the better buy and should control the shove for now. Obviously, does have to be careful about Lee Sin, about where that vision is, but they do have eyes on Lean now, which gives especially their bot lane a lot of freedom to play aggressively.
Give some kudos here to Perks. He's plus 11 CS. Once again, favorable matchup. The lane kingdom parameters are being defined, but if you look at the minimap, Condi had the opportunity to go mid, has the opportunity to go bottom, and it seems to be Sven and Miffy the targets.
And it's not spotted yet, and Tahm Kench has fantastic gank assist.
The ward from Sven has not been placed. It's a bit greedy from G2's bottom lane, still sitting on it. Normally, you really want to get that in the river instantly, so you don't actually risk getting ganked, because that's really the way for Condi to break open the game.
It almost looked like they just gave the respect over that he would have that ward, just assuming that he had placed it. Perhaps he backed off into fog earlier to actually suggest that he would have, but could have perhaps gone for that gank.
Now we have to remember, Syndra needs to win this early. Level 6 Fizz is where you can start coordinating with your jungler for some absolutely insane ganks. Long range ulti from GA, Perks will get knocked up, and then Condi can join in, and the barrier might not save your life.
And I'd say that Chia has actually done fine in this early game.
Yeah,
the fact
100%.
that he still has his teleport up now, he will be able to make some of this up.
From the Waters comes out, that's flash for flash.
And that was exactly the play we were looking for. Good flash from Perks, he respects it, he knows when that ulti flies out, Condi's here.
That said, I mean, Condi, when he hits 6, will have his flash available. You don't even need the Fizz Fish. If you can kick that Syndra in, that can be a very easy kill, but this is some great pressure on the bot side.
Teleport spotted there by Xia. So important to note, him and 957 in this 1-3-1 comp. Gonna be able to play the map. No room for error for G2.
Yeah, Perkz needs to just respect that whenever Lee Sin is out of vision, if Perkz does not have wards on either side, he can't play aggressive, because then Condi could sit right there. He has a ward now near the Raptor camp that saw Condi. He has one also down the bottom side, so he is able to find the gank, but look for WE to just continue pressure mid.
I'm also expecting Perkz to try to base before that Shark is back up, pick up something like a Negatron Cloak, give him some more survivability, play it a little bit more defensive, because he is sticking around. He hasn't based, doesn't have the flash, and you know, Condi is 6 and can return here pretty soon, so I think he's going to spend that mana in base.
Xia around 35-40 seconds on that ultimate available to him. Still down in CS, but we'll be able to farm up under the tower, and as you mentioned, Perkz will finish that recall.
And it's important now to highlight that whenever Condi is spending time mid, it frees up the G2 bot lane to just hit the bot lane tower. They've already gotten it down to about 50% HP. The problem for G2's bot lane is if Perkz dies in the mid lane, then suddenly there's a threat of GA and Condi roaming to bot lane, and then they have to back off as well. Sven and Mithy, that is, and suddenly you don't get pushed anywhere if you're G2.
Look at that chain of corruption onto Mystic. He's trying to get away. The flash will allow him to break the tether, but that's no flash on Mystic. Here comes Condi and Xia. So is Trick in the area. No Stand United or teleports for either team available.
And Mystic is getting poked very low here. Such good pressure from G2. If they can get this first turret, the picks would be worth it. But Condi sneaking up, has his flash and his kick available.
It's a 3-on-3 setup. Teleport for 957, significantly closer to completion. Also, both of these 80 carries, around 79, 72 CS, so over 2,300 gold apiece. They want to go back and shop.
And it's also worth noting that Perkz went for kind of the wave clear, the push option with that lost chapter, so he needs to keep shoving in Xie, poking him out, because he won't be able to survive as well. And 957 moving down, has Kled ultimate, and the Fizz ult is up.
Charge is what Kled and Skull yell. Perkz gets caught by a bear trap on the rope. Tower damage onto Xie. He manages to use the troll pole. First blood, WE.
And we kept talking about the pressure mid lane. When you have that Fizz, you can land the ulti so easily on these targets that sit there without any dashes or anything. Really nice roam from 957. The famous Kled is off to a good start.
Definitely a really good start for WE, and credit probably, yeah, Q into Fish. That's really how you want to do it.
You can't dodge this.
Exactly, and he saves his Playful Trickster to tank 4957. The last turret shot comes out, he can hop away from that, ensuring that Perkz cannot get a trade kill there in any way. Very, very smart stuff from WE.
Yeah, you can only really prevent that kind of gank if Expect follows Kled down and uses his ulti defensively. But that's where, again, this Kled with Tiamat can push first and then also leave first, and you can get these roams towards the mid lane.
And that's what kind of had cost Expect his TP. You know, his TP was not off of cooldown yet. 957 was. He's able to move down, and Expect cannot TP and try to save his mid laner.
First blood on the board for Team WE allows them a near 1,000 gold lead. Trick was able to pick up that Ocean Drake, which is something that, Zale, I've heard you say multiple times in MSI during the laning phase, is very important, very useful for this G2 squad. And of course, they've still got some strong lanes. Tower first blood, more likely to go to G2 in this bottom lane.
And that's what they really need to cash in on now, but another all-in coming in.
All right, Perkz gets caught by the chum, the water. Zero and Mystic arrive. Now Mithy's the target. Not going to be devoured because Zero saves Mystic. A second kill for WE.
And this is super concerning. I mean, Perkz with the Fizz up, blind picks the Syndra. This is what you are signing up for. So a nice roam up from Zero and Mystic ensures another kill, and Xie maybe off to the races.
Ooh, they're ganking Sven now. Mithy's not here.
Flash into Tangle Ash. Sven is going to get locked up, devoured, gobbled, spat backwards. Mystic is going to keep shooting. Now Sven with flash and the heal gets to safety. Expect kills Mystic. Here comes 957. Looks for the jousting into the bear trap. Look at the heroic entrance. Expect saves Sven for a few seconds longer. Zero and 957 running for their lives.
Condi has kick flash.
Looking for some targets. Mithy gets knocked up into the air. Another flash. The damage onto Condi. Takes him down. Now she is the target. He's already used Playful and Trickster. He gets devoured. Here comes Trick. Trick's not done. That's a double.
Triple.
Looking for the triple. No.
such a good play from Trick. G2 coming down, and Condi could not hit the critical Q after his kick. That allowed G2 to turn around the fight. They get the first turret, and they have control of the game.
That just saved the entire early game for G2 Esports. They were losing in the mid lane, and it would just get worse and worse and worse. But that play in the bot lane just gave them so much gold.
It was so big, and they're getting the mid lane push. Xiang TPing in, though, looking for another kill. He already has 3.
Perkz is holding onto his flash, sidesteps, chum the waters. Here comes Condi from the side as Earth flies into the air. G2 turn it round, plus 1,500 gold on the play, and they got the tower.
The one really scary part, though, for G2 is that Xie was the one who picked up these kills. And Sven, hanging around here this long, he had to know the bot lane was coming back down, but does not play with a lot of respect.
Yeah, remember, Mystic has no flash. It was forced earlier in the 2v2 lane, so he died early, and now Perkz will not join this fight. So it's 4v4 at this point. But a lot of members of WE are already very low, and Kleb can't really team fight right now.
And such a big part of this was Condi. So he goes for the kick. He does not hit his follow-up Q. This should have been a kill on Amithi. He just whiffs on the knockup, and that is not something you will see Condi do very often at all. If he executes the karma right there, perhaps it's a different fight.
Big now also for Expect and Trick. Two guys who played well this series. They get all the early kills. It's 2-0-3 Galio and 2-1-2 Kha'Zix.
And I mean, you said Trick is not the guy to go 10-0, but he doesn't have to. He's off to a great start, 2-1-2, and Kha'Zix is a very powerful snowball jungler.
Especially when it needs to combo with Galio. This is the duo that can make or break the game for WE. While 957 and Xia charge all the way forward, Trick and Expect are going to have to pick the right target at the right time, and Trick is sitting with Sven up top.
Yeah, now bot lane tower went down. Remember that mid lane tower as well. Perkz took it down and then dodged that gank from GA right after. So important for G2 that can keep pushing this advantage, because we talked about this in Champ Select. You don't want to risk going full late game against this comp from WE. You want to keep snowballing your lead.
You definitely don't, but WE have the tools to delay it, to get it there anyway, perhaps. You have a very strong Fizz. The Kled is strong as well, and they can look to delay this game out. But 4 men moving top, they're looking for a dive. Galio roaming up 2. It could be 5 for G2.
Team WE are going to have a numbers disadvantage. Kled, 957, no teleports available to him. G2 Esports are just going to brute force the tower in a numbers advantage play.
So they get another outer turret. Next step is push further towards those tier 2 towers, set down your vision, and make sure WE cannot create that pick with the Fizz. You should be able to keep track of him on the map. As 5, G2 can survive that engage and deal with it. Split up 1v1, they will die.
Exactly, and it's really trying to exploit some of the weaknesses here in WE's comp, the lack of that wave clear. If you don't let them get out to the side lanes, if you don't let them have that control, you can consistently be pushing it up and really trying to pile on the pressure.
All right, 957 will get a reply tower back onto Expect in this bottom lane. Expect only set something up, no real support. Look at the mini-map. A number of G2 members moving towards the Dragon Pit. Cloud has just spawned, and I'm looking at wards. Not a huge amount of controls just yet.
Yes, you want this Drake right now, and then your next step is obviously you want to look at a tier 2 tower, but you don't want to risk overextending. So you might actually have to just play a little bit safe until Baron starts spawning, but you need to just keep forcing these team fights. So Skarl and this Gladiator can't really do a whole lot in a fight. Like, he's really good by push and roaming, as you highlighted, Azale. Compared to Galio in a team fight, like, it's a very one-sided fight in favor of Galio.
It definitely isn't. And that's why I think that they want to establish vision control, but do it slowly, methodically. If you can move up the lines of vision, even if you don't see all the wards, you can know if WE has placed new wards in those locations. You can move it up over time, and that can deny the ability to get those TP flanks and enable you to go for those 2-tier turrets.
And something that we talk a lot about in these 1-3-1 comps is you cannot allow them to start the split push. You have to attack it before it gets going. And that vision line and pushing into the right lanes is going to be crucial for G2 against 957 and Shihia, who are continuing to scale up. Look at their itemization as... Oh, flash for flash. Oh. Respect there from Sven.
No, it was Blast Cone from GA. He overtook the Blast Cone, and I'm not sure if the animation of him auto-tagging it was for Sven. It looked like the animation of the ulti being casted, and he just panic flashed straight away. That is something that can cost you. Again, small mistakes in a semi-final at MSI against such a strong team as WE. these things can really cost you.
And they have been ones to capitalize on these small mistakes. I mean, 2 of the games in this series, they have gotten kills around 20 minutes and transferred that into a very early Baron. And, you know, Sven is going to have to be super careful. It also kind of shuts down the ability for them to push forward in Siege because you can't really risk a fight right now without him having flash.
Let's see what Sven decides to do, because there's no outer turrets for G2, so it's actually very risky for them to keep pushing forward into WE territory. They've got no deep vision to work around, and they don't have a great answer in a split push here yet. Expect is still scaling up.
And that's the thing, it's okay for G2 to slow down the game and wait for Baron to spawn. Another Drake will come up as well that you can go for, and by simply not putting yourself in a position where WE can find a way back, then you can at least slow down the gold, like how much gold you're getting, how much gold they're getting as well. Because it's WE here who desperately needs the gold. And if you just sit and trade farm, you buy a bit of time at least. Shia, he's getting caught.
He is indeed, but he's got support coming in from the Abyssal Void. Zero's going to use Devour onto Shia.
TB from 957 too.
Teleport comes down from Expect. He uses the Justice Punch forward. Team WE and G2, everybody's in the fight. Heroic Entrance comes down. Expect knocks out Combi, gets the kill. Sven with a double. Now Perks looking for 957. Scarl buys some time before he hops away to safety. The jousting's not enough. G2 5-3.
It gets turned around, Trick laying in wait. WE thought they had caught out Perks. He sidesteps the fish, sets up the great fight, and they have the waves to get objectives off it.
Yes, and we're sitting here talking about WE just wanting to wait and scale, and they're trying to force a play without G2 having made a move on the map. Such a risky gamble, and it completely backfired.
Redemption is within grasp for the Kings of Europe. 1.5 minutes until Baron. 5,000 gold in the lead, and here's that replay.
Yeah, you have not seen many of the G2 members force any play. So you should know they're ready for you to attack them. And it's just a very good instant reaction from G2. Expect comes in. And yeah, the no flash Varus, well, he's not even in a fight at this point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but he is able to clean up a couple kills as they try to walk out low HP on the bot, and Expect so much faster on the teleport than 957 was. By the time 957 got into the fight, it was already decided, and he just gives over another kill.
Trick was waiting in the bush.
It's great.
She had jumped in.
But I look at games like this and I'm just like, the team that wants to snowball the game is allowing the team that wants to scale to have a bit of a slow mid-game. Wait for Baron to spawn. And then the scaling team like, nah, we're gonna fight right now. We're going for this one. And it just hurts them so much.
The Rift Herald here going to be taken over from G2, and I think this is actually, you know, while it's often criticized, these Rift Herald takes, in this situation, it is dangerous to move up for that mid-tier 2, and this is actually a pretty good decision for Expect, which will help him answer any side lane pressure later in the game.
And it's the first successful Rift Herald for G2 Esports. They have lost games going for that little bad boy. But this time around, they have the map pressure. 14
games of MSI, and they get their first safe, secure one. And
that's progression right there. That's progression.
It only took 14, you know, potential attempts.
First stop, Rift Herald. Next stop, SKT.
Almost the same.
They've improved, right? They've improved. That's what they're going to be looking to keep doing. But again, it's just the fact that Expect and Trick can now deal with these side lanes. They're the two most fed members, and now Sven with kills on the board. He can start to clean up.
Bot lane.
Is setting up. Charge goes down, 957 takes so much damage. Trick seems to be everywhere, but he's been outnumbered. Sven's on a rampage. Chum the Waters takes him down. Trick's running for his life. Teleport's not available for Expect. Trick has now got support from Miffy. Defensive flashes away. Team WE, 4-man stack, and the Heroic Entrance is in range.
Yeah, you really have to respect the mobility on the side of WE due to that Kled ulti. No flash still from Sven, but it's once again, it's Trick hiding, and then he's sending in Perks and Sven is bait.
And honestly, I think it works out pretty well here for G2. You know, they do get the summoner and kill trade there, you know, on the engage from WE. So Sven is going to have his flash up for the next fight. He's getting very strong, and despite this kill being successful, Trick is playing this so smart. He's always shadowing his damage dealer.
Again, Trick is basically saying that he's the carry right now, and it's Sven and Perks that needs to bait, so he can actually get the fight he's looking for. And it's a 1-for-1, but it's exactly what WE wants to do, to try and get some kills and get some of that gold we keep talking about.
This show, it was the long con. Everybody has their eyes on Perks and Sven. How do you deal with them? All of a sudden, Trick has got some wiggle room to play a pick that is surprising even us with this performance. He's got a good read on WE, right place at the right time, and Trick is a big reason why G2 is bouncing back in this game.
It's what we talked about earlier, how Kha'Zix is really good against 1-3-1 comp, because he's finding these skirmishes. It's not about 5-on-5 pure team fight, it's always split up. And Trick is obviously showing why this pick is smart.
And he was the beneficiary of that fight in the bot lane, which really got him going and put him in the position that he could be so strong in these skirmishes. And when you look at last game, the way that WE won, the way that they kind of controlled the early game was 957 and Condi. They're both very far behind expecting Trick right now. They're not going to be as big of an impact.
Well, G2 got one hell of an impact already. Up a sizable amount of gold, 3.5k, 4k, looking around Baron Vision. But what great development from G2. From a shaky group stage where truthfully 4 out of the 6 teams here had mixed performances, only Marines really stepping up. WE, the surprise of the group stage, that second half going 5-0. And of course, coming into this best of 5, very well prepared.
But it's definitely not over yet. This is still a composition from WE that is very tricky to play against. One little misposition and suddenly one member gets one shot and Mystic gets to his late game. So G2 now looking around the Baron. It's where they want to try and set up a play and force a team fight before we hit late game.
GA has a chance. He's going to have his chances to get those picks, to take over the game. Fizz now, with these 2 items, with the Portable and the Zonias, you can get much more aggressive in the team fighting. You can dive for the backline and try to take out some of the gold on people like Sven.
The only member GA really hates on the side of G2 is the Karma. This Karma brings shields, redemption, will be a locket as well. And that stops Fizz from one-shotting that target when he drops in.
You also do have to be pretty careful playing around the Galio, because although you have, the Zonias and you have your Playful Trickster, if you use that to get in the fight and you get taunted, you're very, very squishy. You can get knocked down pretty quick.
A lot of damage coming down. Mystic actually gets chunked up by this Winds of War. Looking at some of the itemization really quickly. 2 Black Cleavers, aside WE 957 and Condi got that picked up. Titanic Hydra for 957, so very committed to that side lane. Not going to do a lot in bigger 5v5s, but his team doesn't want him to do that. They don't want to commit to that split push strategy.
I also really like the fact that Spec has gone for Frozen Heart instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet. We were actually talking about this the other day, and I feel like too many top laners just autopilot and pick up that Iceborne. If you're not going to be able to have side lane pressure, if you're not going to be able to be pushing in the turret or dueling up against that person anyway, go for the Frozen Heart. It's more utility-based. It's very strong in the team fighting against many of these members.
Yeah, exactly. You are against so many guys that relies on actually getting multiple attacks off. Even Fizz does benefit a bit from getting another auto attack with his W later. Obviously, that one is hard to slow down because he can kind of reset it, but Fizz tends to kind of sit on his target for quite a while. So small benefit against him, but it's mainly against Mystic and, of course, 957.
Every single bit helps. G2, by the way, 3 dragons on the board. We're 25 minutes into the game. It's a 5,000 gold difference. Baron, despite being up for a few minutes and some vision being set up, hasn't necessarily been the focus. And G2, with the fact that Sven has just picked up his Phantom Dancer as a full item ahead, they're going to be feeling very comfortable.
Yeah, the reason G2 can't just start it right now is because they don't have anyone who can really tank it properly. You don't want to drop low before the Baron, because then WE just runs in and forces you off it, and you just wasted a bunch of time. So you always have to give it like 5, 6, 7 minutes after Baron has spawned, and then you start looking at teams really trying to force it. And they moved the tank here now. We're 5 minutes past Baron time. They're going for it.
And this is actually really smart, not killing off those wards, the signal that they have started. Perks is trying to zone on the side. Condi could look for the steal.
957 starts to channel a teleport into the river. He's going to arrive.
Do they commit?
Son of Baron wants to jump in. Baron's going very, very low. Secure it! Team WE get Baron! Shia and Condi on the focus though. It's so far a 2 for 1. 957's running for his life. Flashes away. Skull gets popped and that leaves him stranded. And unfortunately for WE, they lose 3.
Yeah, they lose a couple kills here, but they get the Baron. They have a couple members up. It's how much can G2 get now before these guys respawn? Can they look to crack the base?
Well, 30 seconds on Fizz with TP. Remember, if you're G2, you also have to respect the fact that you need to also get away from the base once you actually kill it without getting jumped on.
They're going for it.
Inhibitor turret is the focus. Expect steps forward to that shield. Not going to find a target though. Mystic still flash and heal available to him. The Devour from Zero buys time.
Yeah, very smart to retreat. Don't go for the inhibitor. The Fizz is almost up past TP, and an overstay like that can cost you the game. But here's the setup again. G2 gets it very low, but the Fizz Shark, in combination with the execute from Condi and the Smite, able to come in and take that out. Trick was not expecting them, I think, to go for the finish there.
Both junglers end up using Smite, or one used Smite with near 200 HP, and Trick obviously was about to click Smite, but couldn't do it in time. But it's huge for WE despite losing kills and towers, because again, you prevent G2 from getting Baron. That's just the key thing, no matter how many members you lose. Because if G2 picks up that Baron, you have no way there to defend.
I really do agree, but that said, they cracked the base anyway off of that fight. So, you know, that's mostly what you need the Baron for, to be able to break the base, to push up and really crack that first inhibitor line. So we'll see if this accomplishes a similar goal. Can they just move 5 men up middle, look for that fight, look to claim the first inhibitor of the game?
They have not felt confident moving too far forward, because they're respecting the flank, which of course is what we talk about, so we're very happy they're respecting the flank, and not just running, you know, close their eyes and just run forward. Get another Drake. 4 Drakes now for G2 Esports.
Looking at time, there will be another elemental spawn before the Elder. They're not going to delay this one. And there's one outer turret remaining in the bottom lane. G2 starting to group up around that one. Now look at this. Unleashed Power onto Condi puts a lot of damage down. Not enough to kill him, but maybe enough to zone him away from any sort of defense. Shield of Duran comes down from Expect. The minion wave buffed up by that Baron. WE still hold on 2 members.
And Expect is just so comically tanky at this point. He has so much armor that he can just step forward with that threat. And Xie looking for the flank. He's on Sven.
Waters finds Sven. Sven's in so much trouble and killed. 957 takes him down. He's taking a lot of damage in return. His Trick is in the retreat. Expect, despite how tanky he is, will get killed if WE chase. Sonic Wave connect. That's a great stun from Perkz, and they taxi to safety.
And get out, but the 80 carry went down. Sven had to use both summoners, not enough once you get hit by Fizz ulti.
And you've got to nitpick a little bit here on Sven, though. They had a ward on the side. They saw Xie coming in. You need to be able to flash that fish. That is something that should be expected of a player at this level. You know, you need to be able to pull that off. And there's the ward that does see the Fizz coming around. Oh, it had already gone out over the wall, so that is actually very, very hard to react to.
Yeah, that was a sneaky ulti by Xie, catching Sven. Then you can maybe argue, save the flash after. If you're already hit and you know you're going to die, have it for the next fight. But that was a great ulti by Xie to start it. G2 managed to get out alive, but it's slowing down the game a bit once again, which is good for WE.
Or even that G2, you know, should have had a little bit better vision and had that corridor warded, right, to cover for that flank, which is something that you have talked a lot about for G2, because you have to feel like that is not a fight, not a fish that Xie should have been able to just walk in and get onto your AD carry.
Definitely agree.
Xie 4-3-2 at the end of that fight. Waiting for his itemization to come back available. 9+10 with a GA picked up. So WE, they're 30 minutes in. Yes, they've got an exposed inhibitor, but they're continuing to scale. They're continuing to become a problem for G2 to deal with.
And that fight not only saved the tower, it again used Sven's flash, Perk's flash is also gone, Expect's flash. So G2 are not feeling very confident right now in taking another fight, because these carries can die so easily. So it's once again giving a few more minutes over to WE, and they're trying to catch up in items. Now 3 items for Mystics. I like this rage play build against Galio, because you get so many auto attacks off. Next Baron is key for G2, and they're looking for mid inhib. It's risky because they have no flash.
And both the teleports are available for WE, but you can see that G2 is trying to establish vision control along the sides, check if there's any wards that could be those flanking wards, and they are trying to do their due diligence, but you know, 957 is just constantly pushing, delaying, forcing Expect to go back to the event.
I'll Expect does have his teleport available if he's going to try and match with 957. By the way, second GA now picked up on the side of Team WE. It is Condi with that one in his inventory, and Team WE going to become more difficult to deal with in team fights. This 5v5 is significantly less G2 favored with the itemization, with the scaling, with the fact that WE continue to become like more online and more powerful.
And it's always important to note, like, when we say that, it doesn't mean that, oh my god, G2's going to lose every single team fight. It's just how easy it is for you to execute the fight and win it. The percentages, they will just go further and further down for you, and up for the other team when you start hitting these late game spikes. But they can definitely still win fights around this ban, and that's going to be the key for them.
And it's also something where Sven is opting to go for the most aggressive build. He's building the Last Whisper and looking like he's going to be building towards an IE instead of getting any sort of magic to this. There's no Hex Drinker, there's no QSS or anything like that. So if you do get hit by that fish, it's essentially a death sentence. You have to really rely on your positioning and your team to keep you safe against that. But if he does manage to, he'll be putting out so much damage in the fights that he could look to turn it around.
Sven and Perks' flashes are around 80 seconds away. Baron is spawning in 40, so G2 want to stall for a little while longer, have that summoner spell available to them if they want to set up a play. But looking across WE, they all have their flashes, and Condi, he's sniffing for some opportunities and some kicks.
And you can hear it because G2 can't really see him on the map. Trick is finding Condi though.
Good damage already. Taste their fear, and the isolated bonus working in favor of Trick's Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and this is allowing them to get the chunk to push up mid and try to challenge now for that inhibitor. There are still some flanking wards and no flashes on the carry for G2. This is going to be a pivotal moment in the game for them. We'll see if they can get out free.
Looks to be the case. Team WE, they haven't pulled the trigger yet. Condi's still lingering in the wait. Minions should take this one down.
That was close.
Fizz can still TP though. The fight is not over. They're coming in right now. No flash on Perks.
And G2 are split, but the teleport is cancelled. Cancelled.
It's a
957, however, did not devour from zero by some time. Super Minions successfully secured for G2.
That was so big. Really nice setup for Expect. Prepping the taunt on the ward to force it, but the stun lands.
Two-man stun. Zero forced to flash away to safety. Here comes Expect. Not going to find the taunt because he's got no flash to change the distance. Mystic is dropped low. He's stunned and devoured. G2 are very, very confident. Trick jumps forward into 957.
Condi on the side.
GA is still available to him. Look at the taunt. Connects down. Bear trap on a rope. Gonna buy some time, but Chum the Waters will knock back Miffy. Nobody else. Redemption heals up the backline for G2, and WE, they're running away.
Yeah, Zero is just saving everyone from WE right now. Mystic got hit twice by stuns, but then Zero was there. G2 did not use any flashes offensively, and that is worth highlighting.
And the critical thing here, they can retreat back, take the Scuttlecraft, establish this vision controller on Baron. Another TP coming in. They're going to look to fight again.
Just to interrupt that back timing, look at the mini-map.
That was a horrible teleport.
Is pushing really heavily in favor of Team WE. 957. That TP sucked.
I didn't want to say it. I was going to get Kobe in here to say it, but he's busy on the analyst desk.
It was a good impression. He nailed it, but I mean, that's both of the teleports down now. Expect still has his. He can have side lane advantage, and G2 is TPing right now. They're going to try to go for this fight.
Who are looking for the flank. Expect's going to come in from behind.
Trick is far behind, though.
Entrance is available to him. Going to dash forward. Gets the taunt. Perks goes golden with the hourglass. Trick jumps in. Sven is hammering away on 957. Retreat is the call. 957 and Klett get away, but Zero does not. Condi's left alone. There comes Expect. Jungler is still available. The son of Baron has already stolen a Baron. He could do it again.
And G2, though, they're going to go over to Baron, try to pressure, at least look for some sort of a turn and a pick. You need to force something now. This is a good opportunity for you. You're playing against a scaling composition, but Condi is on the side.
Yeah, they don't see Condi up here. To the top. This one will not spot Condi in the tri-push either. This one will from Trick, so they will spot him now.
Chum the Waters is so close to being available for Shia. If G2 don't rush it down, Chum the Waters could come in. Here comes Condi. He's taunted up. Chum the Waters falls short. Condi's a target.
He still has GA.
GA is going to tag the Baron. It's slowly starting to regen. Chain of Corruption misses and Condi's down. Here comes GA. Leap over the wall. Baron's a focus, and G2 secure it.
Beautiful setup. 957.
Oh, GA is going to be available to him. That gets a pop. Zero jumps in as well. He gets caught by a Justice Punch. Expect is looking for the taunt.
If they catch Mystic, they may have the game here. Instant flash.
Redemption comes down to help out. Trick goes forward. Mystic is down. Zero's the target. G2, they may have done it.
I think they have. The Baron buff is here. Super Minion has arrived. They are going for the end.
G2 esports are onto the Nexus turret. They were looking to prove to the world, to prove to Europe, this is where they belong. G2 Esports take down WE, and G2 are redeemed.
What a story. These guys have been counted out in the international tournaments time and time again because of their history. They have a shaky group stage. They're going up against WE. They're 0-2 against them in the tournament, and they come back and and show a form that they have never been able to do before.
G2 Esports just went from being one of the most hated teams in Europe to suddenly being the team that everyone can rally behind when it comes to international tournaments. My voice cracks at the worst time ever.
And off the back of Trick's performance.
Oh yes.
1 and 11. He was everywhere G2 needed him to be, and he delivered.
And he was huge on the Olaf in games 1 and 2.
Forced the ban.
He drove multiple bans, drawing the Ivern ban, the Olaf ban. You know, Trick really returned to form here, and this is what we talked about. This is the key to G2's success in this series. Trick would have to show a form that he has not shown in quite some time, and he was able to step up.
Exactly. Very impressive performance from him. And also G2 with the cleanest game here in the end. Got that advantage. We kept talking about, you know, you need to keep trying to force the play around that bound, and they did. Despite Conti stealing one, they went back in there. They actually managed to set up perfectly, kill Conti, take the Baron, and then close out the game.
Saw Team WE walking off stage. For G2, this was a tournament of redemption. Team WE was a tournament of returning to glory. And unfortunately for them, despite being heavy favorites, the week of prep, the last few days, benefited G2 more.
But I still think if you're Team WE, you are overall happy with this tournament here. You wanted to come in and show what you could do on the big stage. You challenged SKT, got a 1-1 against them. You came into the semifinal, as you said, as a favorite. And for a team that's just returned to the international stage with a lot of young players, that is still acceptable.
It's something to build upon. It's something to look forward to Worlds with and take this experience and try to improve upon it. But definitely, you know, you will be walking away somewhat disappointed.
Oh,
for them, you know, they wanted to get second. That was what the Chinese fans expected of them. You know, on this international stage, they were supposed to be second only to SKT. But Europe has bested them here today.
Yeah, and surprisingly so. You can go back and look at some of the individual plays. You can talk about picks and bans, but G2, they did everything that was asked of them to step up the series. Have champions that work, have lanes that show up. 2 games, Perks goes off. He almost wins the game for them.
Yep.
2 games, Perks does not. And for the first time at MSI, the rest of the team rally behind him. It was an impressive showing, an impressive step up to Fisho for a team that really was struggling.
100%, and again, they can just be so proud and so happy right now because they were a bit nervous coming into this tournament. They didn't want to have another failure, another tournament where people would flame them and be mad at them, but after this, no one can say a bad thing about G2 Esports.
Great performance at the end of the day. We will be getting yourselves ready for the Analyst Desk interview shortly, but yeah, G2 now, they have the unenviable task of facing SKT tomorrow.
Well, first of all,
they're in the finals. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty enviable, right? I think
doesn't matter who you face.
I think there's a lot of teams out there that be like, whoa. I would happily get smashed by SKT tomorrow.
Sure, if you make the final, that's already a great thing.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the only Western teams that have taken games off SKT in the past was CLG and Fnatic. Is that correct?
I do believe so.
Yes.
Will G2 be the third one to take a game off SKT? You'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out.
We'll see if
Before
they're the first to take a series.
There we go.
That's how you hype the final.
We'll
Can
see.
they take a game?
We'll have to see. You've got to start with one,
Of
at
course.
least. Anyway, Shox is standing on